And good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, the pod where chaos rules and black culture is supreme. This podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Please be sure that you go to www.w.gg and use promo code Chaotic Culture 1 to get 10% off your favorite energy flavor. Now, if you have not joined us for the Chaotic Culture Podcast, for a reminder for our new listeners, this podcast will deep dive into modern black culture and how millennials and Gen Z can navigate the crazy parts from finances, music, black business highlights, home ownership, HBCU, sports, black nerdom, anime, wrestling. If it encompasses black culture, we are going to cover it. Live from the 7-5, I am the host and the creator of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, Ked the Pro, aka the Calculated Millennial, the Encore presentation. Now, can I get an encore? Do you want more? The 843 is me, but VA is where I stay. Always chaotic, never toxic. Back again, once again, with your favorite black culture highlights and black culture shenanigans. So, as you all are aware, this is February. So, once again, happy Black History Month. Here, of course, during the month of February, we're going to take the time to do a couple of interviews and what we like to call our Black Creator series. So, with that in mind, we have invited a good friend of ours to the pod. Now, if you are, of course, a Patreon subscriber, you have seen the bonus episode that we did on our Patreon, exclusive to our Patreon, about the Royal Rumble preview. And we definitely got to cover some wrestling in this conversation as well, but we'll get to that. But of course, for the first time, for the live audience and for the general audience, I have here with me one of the founders of HUBTAKU. He goes by Vonny. Of course, his handle is I Hate Vonny, but I'm gonna let him introduce himself to the pod. So, Vonny, if you could please introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you for having me, Ked, my good brother. My name is Vonny. I am, as you said, one of the founders of HUBTAKU. My aliases are Vonny, obviously. I go by I Hate Vonny on one platform. I just recently opened up my own VTuber account, so it's that one is Vonny Wave. But yeah, you can call me Vonny, whatever you want in that instance. But more importantly, bro, just call me your friend.
Hey, well, my friend, we appreciate you coming through to the Chaotic Culture Podcast, and we are hoping that this will be a great episode, so that way we can get to learn more about what you and what you are doing out here in the community at large. So, before we actually get started with the actual podcast, I always like to do a mental health check to make sure that everybody's good to go, everybody's in the right headspace, and even if you're not, just your opportunity to share what you've been going through and what you've been working through. So, just to start it off, I will go ahead and say how I'm feeling. I'm actually doing okay. It's been quite the end of 2023 for those who know, but again,
Yeah.
this week was actually pretty decent. The only thing that was the headache, of course, was my phone getting run over by a truck.
Whoa.
That was
What?
a pain. So I didn't share this story with everybody, but
What?
this is what happened, man. So for those who don't know, I work for a truck rental place, and of course we handle like the heavy duty pickup trucks and the large box trucks. So this is a 26-foot box truck that we're getting ready to switch out for one of our accounts. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just make sure that the back is cleared and whatnot. And my service agent is working on the inside cab. So I'm looking at the back. I'm like, all right, the back is fine. And then he starts to move the truck. Now, I'm still in the back and I just managed to close the door, but I'm like, okay, he's putting it in reverse. I'm not trying to hop off a moving truck. I need him to stop. But of course, he can't see me. It's a 26-foot box truck. So I'm like, Now, at this point, I didn't even know that my phone had fell out of my pocket. And it was in my jacket pocket. Obviously, I should have put it in my pants pocket, but I wasn't thinking. I was just trying to get
It'd be
things
like
moving.
that.
Yeah. And usually I brought my phone out there in the first place to take pictures just to make sure that there was no damage to the truck before we rented it out.
Oh
So
my
with
goodness.
that, I'm sitting here like, hey, I need him to stop. I need him to stop. But of course, he can't hear or can't see me. My other service agent's cleaning the truck with the vacuum on. So of course he can't hear me. So when the truck gets back further enough, we actually share a space with the regular rental car service. I'm waving out like, hey, can you get him to come stop the truck? So one of the workers comes out, he stops my service agent. And at that point, that's when I realized my phone's not in my pocket. Uh,
Oof.
yeah, I opened the actual back door and I'm like, okay, it's not on the back of the truck. Oh no. I go to the front. Sure enough, it's in front of the truck. And I'm like, please don't tell me he ran it over. I picked up the phone and that screen is completely shattered. I'm like,
Ah.
damn. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I had to get a replacement phone. It's the same phone that I've had. I unfortunately had to go through the process of pretty much because the screen is shattered. I can't really save all of my old shit, like any photos or videos that I've had on my
Yeah.
phone is completely gone at this point because I didn't back them up to Google or back
Oof.
them up to Samsung. I backed up some, but not all. So I'm like, damn, great. All of that shit was on my phone. Well, alrighty then. But yeah, that's pretty much how that week went. So for like 3 days, I was kind of without a phone, or I had a phone and didn't know how to like actually turn it on because I was having trouble logging into my Google account. For those who don't know, I have a Samsung S22. So yes, I have not switched over to iPhone yet, and I could not switch over to iPhone because this is a replacement phone. So
Mm,
it's like, oh, well, you could have got the iPhone for an upgrade. No, I'm not trying to spend money right now. I
not
barely had
doing
the money to
that.
get a replacement phone. Like, it's not in the cards right now. This was not my intention. So yeah, I had to go and get the replacement phone turned on. Had to log into Google. Had to go through two-step verification, and then had to fight for that Samsung two-step verification because it kept sending it to the old phone.
To that
And
phone.
yeah, and so I'm like, how am I supposed to log into my Samsung account
Ah.
if my phone shares the same phone number as my old phone and y'all are sending it to the other S22? Like, there is no way I can access this. I literally had to try to get chat support, but they were talking about a 8 hour and 9 minute wait, and I'm like,
I know you lying.
huh?
I
Yeah,
know you
I
lying.
really said that. I'm like, I know you lying, bro. Like, what? So
Mm-mm.
I called, and of course, it sent me directly to the text once my phone actually started my replacement phone actually started to work. So I'm like, okay. So now I'm in the middle of texting this person, and then they were like, okay, it's gonna be they didn't even give me a time frame. Wait, they just said that there's 182 people ahead of you. I'm like, at this point, well, it's a text message, so eventually they'll respond, and this way I can look at it and see as opposed to waiting on the computer for chat support. So they
Right.
eventually text me. What they did was they had me go and actually put in my number, and then they sent a code to my email address. I had to trick it. And so I went onto my browser, signed in, and was able to get into my account. So I'm thinking, okay, cool, I can do it on my phone. Nope, it still kept sending the two-step verification to my old phone. So I went back into my browser, realizing that I was still signed on. And I'm like, oh, wait,
Mm.
I can delete my old phone. So I deleted my old phone. And then at that point, it was like, okay, now I can sign in. I signed in, and it sent the text message to my new phone. And I said, bet, all right, we're good. So yeah, I went through a whole hassle and trying to get that phone activated. And I'm like, man, this is a whole bunch of hoopla I did not intend on going through. But we here now. So
That
either
is the
way,
most kid thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm not even
bro.
gonna lie to you, bro. Yo.
Yeah, man. Stuff always seems to happen to me at like the worst possible times. I'm just like, man, what the fuck? Like, how? Excuse my language, y'all. But it really was quite the week. And I'm just like, okay. The sooner this week can get done, the better, because I got some things that I'm looking forward to. Obviously, there's the Super Bowl, but I mean,
Yes, sir.
by the time y'all hear this will be past the Super Bowl. I hope that the Chiefs have won because I'm a Steelers fan and I don't want the 49ers getting six, but
Yeah,
that's
nah.
neither here nor there. Yeah. So as much as the Taylor Swift attention is like, yeah, I'm like, you know what? I do like Patrick Mahomes. I don't have anything against him. So I do hope that they actually come away with the dub, but we will see. Anyway, that's been my week. Vonny, how have you been, bro?
Bro, listen, my week well, it's better now that it's the weekend. But after hearing the story, as sad as it sounds, and I'm so sorry, bro, but my shit sounds much better.
Hey, that's fine, man. Listen, I
Nah,
appreciate that yours was better.
it was cool. So it's not like a big thing, but it's not like a surprise or anything like that. A couple years ago, I lost my dad, and at one point this week, I had a dream where it was like an apparition was holding my hand or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I remember waking up in the midst of tears and stuff, looking around like, yo, what is going on right now? And I kept thinking about my dad for some reason. Then I not thinking much of it. I goes back to sleep, do what I got to do. Then maybe like a day or two later, I remember it was after work. I was getting ready to go to the gym, and I was like, you sit on the toilet, you kind of just like going through your phone, just having random deep thoughts. And
Yep.
for some reason, I started thinking about my dad, and I remember dates, and I was like, oh my god, his death anniversary just passed. Then I remember the night that happened with the whole hand situation, and it was like, oh, that was on the day of his death anniversary that I had this dream. So then I
Wow.
was sitting there stuck looking like, well, okay, well, is like I don't know if I believe in ghosts. I kind of do, I kind of don't. That's one of those things that I struggle with thinking about, just like the concept of what happens after you die. But that is, in a weird way, felt very refreshing, because it was like, okay, well, you still exist, and you know me, you still hear me, you're still with me. You haven't forgotten about me, like I haven't forgotten about you. And another big thing is just more so like the concept of what happens after you die. It feels like he maintained him, if that's in a sense. It's not like he
Mm-hmm.
reincarnated as something or somebody different. He's still him. And not to get like too deep with that, but like that was one of those things where it's like, okay, this is a pivotal changing moment in my week. Now I'm not going for the stuffs anymore. Rest of my week pretty much did what I had to do. Working out, my mentals is better and in good standing. And now this weekend, I'm really just gonna be enjoying the Super Bowl, like you said. But also, I think the highlight of my week was seeing Cody Rhodes get the taste slapped out of his mouth. I'm sure we're gonna talk about that.
Man, listen, that
Bruh.
entire press conference was freaking wild. And I knew, I'm like, yo, they about to plan something and something's about to cook. I just want to see what happens, because I had my doubts, and I'm thinking like, oh man, they really about to go with this Rock Roman situation. But let me just watch and let me see how this plays out. Man, I'm glad I watched, because I was thoroughly entertained.
Yep.
I'm like, oh man, well, they certainly said, hey, you know what? We gonna go in the direction that most of the fans want to go.
Yep.
And we gonna add some a little bit of spiciness towards it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens on the road to WrestleMania. For those who don't know, obviously, again, we're big wrestling heads over here. So, but before we get into that, of course, I wanted to take the opportunity to talk about Vonny here, and ask a few questions regarding the things that he has going on about his him being a VTuber, and of course, HUBTAKU. And I know that Vonny has pretty much done almost every interview under the sun, whether it's with him or whether it's with his partner. Which, speaking of which, how is Sam? What's going on with her?
She good. Funny enough, today is Lunar New Year, so like she's out with her family doing what she got to do. She gonna send me the photos and stuff of them being out and about having a good time. But everything is great between us. Everything is great with her. She thriving doing the Pokemon content. HUBTAKU is bubbling. We doing what we got to do on our side. Like, bro, life is good in that sense.
That's good. That's good. Wow. I'm glad that you reminded me. Again, Happy Lunar New Year, or Chinese New Year for those who call it that. We definitely big ups to Tan for that. With that in mind, with HUBTAKU, I just wanted to at least ask you the question of what sparked the idea of HUBTAKU to start.
Oh yeah, bro. So like, I'll be the first to admit that one, HUBTAKU is majority woman ran and led, but two, it's Tammy's brainchild for the most part. So like, what happened was we started off in a different group. There was a group of us together as friends, and then like Tammy had initially branched off first and wanted to do her own thing. She then had this idea that she'd been wrestling with actually for a couple years now of wanting to be like not only a safe space, but just more so like a great utility for people in content creation and anime. And there was a couple different names that she was wrestling with. And she brought up the idea to me and was like, hey, would you kind of want to do this with me? I'm like, absolutely. First and foremost, I'll do anything for you.
Right.
So we hopped in together. We decided, you know what, let's brainchild this. It was literally one night, and this was maybe like a few 2-ish weeks or so before MomoCon happened. We literally sat one night. She already had the logo camp, which by the way, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but which by the way, all of your resources, make sure you keep every bit of what you did from the past up until now, because you never know if that's going to pop up later on down the stretch and be important to you. Ken, you can't do that because your phone is fried, but but like, if you can, like, make sure you hold on to it. That logo that we have now, Tammy and her team made that years ago. There's a little musical catch jingle that we utilize. I made that in 2014. We came up with the branding, the name, all of it literally within like a matter of a night. And from there, it was all races, where we went to MomoCon. We started syncing up with people, meeting a lot of folks. And then a year later, bro, it's been a wild ride already.
Hey man, and this is also why I have backups on my computer, and I gave some backups to some other folk just in case something like that happened. So yeah, I do have backup plans every now and again. But yeah, that I appreciate hearing that story, man. And sometimes, really, it just takes that little spark to get the train rolling for real, for real.
Yep.
So, with y'all, as far as Hubtaku, I just wanted to ask now, how did the entire team come together? Like, what went into that in order for you to choose who you wanted to be as a part of the team?
Oh, so like me and Tammy collectively were having conversations about who should be on and who shouldn't be on. Um, Oh, Tammy already had people in mind that she was thinking about literally when she started up before she even came to me. And just as a heads up, when I got brought on initially to HUBTAKU, I wasn't brought on as a co-founder. So like I would have been a part of
Mm,
the team member lead, but ultimately as things progressed and the work that got put in, she came to me and said, "Hey, like you're essentially doing co-founder work on top of this. Why not just capitalize?" And I'm like, "You know what? Let's get these taxes done." Um, that being said, um, for example, I think the Tony, I think was the first person we picked. Um, Tony likens himself as the first round pick too of Hotaku, which is hilarious as well. Tony was somebody really lighthearted and amazing that we wanted to have on our team, just as a means of like, creating a general vibe for everybody. Like you see how what he does on his own accord right now with his spaces, what he
yep,
does with Shogo High, wink, what he
yep.
does with just in general with everything. We felt like he was a great asset to bring on. We felt like also he was our friend too. Like everybody on Hubtaku are also our friends as well, which is just as important. Like, yeah, it's a business and we bring people in to help and assist, but we want to be able to work with people that we like. And that's one of my
Absolutely.
biggest things. I don't want to be around a group of people who don't like each other. And I stand by
Hmm.
that. We brought Tony on first, and then immediately after that, the natural progression was Brandon, his style, his thought process, his mind. Like he has something that unique and rich that he'll be able to touch the masses in a way that a lot of people can't. Like even when
Hmm.
you see him in interacting in certain spaces, he has a certain way about himself that we felt like was very, very integral to Hubtaku's success. Um, then once we had those two, there were the next person we brought on. I'm trying to think who was the next person after that. Oh, Chris. Chris was definitely immediately after that too. So Chris
Hmm.
was brought on. We brought her in initially. She was doing like social media, the content, things of that nature. She was an editor first, and then
Right.
she gravitated into social media. Chris has one of the most amazing minds for like, and a lot of people don't know that Chris has that business acumen before as well too. Like
Hmm.
if you stop and just sit and look at her Twitch streams and just how she designs everything, how she showcases herself, even the way she tweets and stuff, everything is business minded, is amazing. And it's something that was important because one, women really do have a knack and a mind for that type of stuff. And
Yep.
Tammy having the foresight to know, like, all right, well, this is somebody who has the acumen, even on a committee standpoint, to be able to make proper decisions. It was a no brainer to bring her on.
Hmm.
Um, and then the next up, we got the twin, and then we got Tati and Bam. Those two came on essentially when we really started utilizing and bringing in more creators. We wanted to showcase more so, creators in this space, and our mission statement being that, all right, well, a lot of people that we're trying to work and touch and help become better creators, we need to show that we can actually do that. So we brought in Tati and Bam, and they've been absolutely smoking it with their content. Tati is very much lifestyle. Everything about her, she has the knowledge too, just of knowing how to navigate certain things. And I think people need to give her more credit for that. Which
Hmm.
Bam is just an absolute. Bam is somebody I can see being an absolute juggernaut when it comes to content purposes. I think that just the skit she does is genuinely hilarious. Like I love when I see Bam's content because I don't have to fake and act like, oh, I like this. Like, no, I actually do. And it's been amazing just her progression as a person on top of just the content that she makes. And then we can't forget about Khadijah as well. Khadijah is the life and blood of the Discord. Our Discord actually has been so much better as of late because Khadijah's impact and input into it that I can't
Hmm.
thank her enough for that. She has like spaces that she holds. We were doing watch alongs of shows. There was a lot of different things. And just more important than not, just like how you checked in with me with my health, Khadijah does that on a regular to make sure that everybody's all good, great, and gravy. And I think it's a beautiful blend. It works. We sync. And I just can't see nothing but happiness because of these.
Hey man, I definitely want to give the flowers to your team because it sounds like you have an awesome staff and an awesome team and an awesome group of friends that is willing to bring this platform up to its highest peak. So with that, I definitely just want to thank each and every one of HUBTAKU for just doing what you do. Now, Tony, of course, I know how hilarious Tony is because I'm literally with him on Shogo High. It
Hmm.
is he is absolutely hilarious, and sometimes I don't even think he intends to be that hilarious. It's just the
He
things
don't.
that he says. Yeah, the things he says and does is like, bro, really? Hey, but I definitely appreciate him for that. Of course, Brandon, from my interactions with Brandon when I first met him at
Mhm.
DreamCon in 2022, I knew I'm like, yo, this guy, he's got a way to bring in the mess and he's got a way to talk to people. And I really respect him for what he does. Now, full disclosure, Chris lives, I'm not going to say where in my area, but I'm close to Chris. And
Gang.
y'all, y'all already know that, we live in VA and whatnot, but I'm not going to say specifically where, but having the opportunity to actually, meet Chris, I never thought that we would become as good friends as we were. And that's the kind of the beauty of this whole thing. And I
I
will
heard.
eventually
I
have her
heard that
on this
you and
platform.
Chris was extras in the grinding video. Is that true?
I,
Hmm?
I wasn't in VA at that point, bro. I think she was still, I think, somewhere in Delaware, and I was in South Carolina. So that would have
My
been
bad. Do
nice,
your thing.
though. That would have been nice. But yeah, just having the opportunity to actually like talk to her and interact with her when I first met her at AWA in 2022, and just seeing, I've already seen on social media how brilliant she was, but actually getting a chance to talk to her and kick it with her was like, yo, she is dope as hell. That is one dope black
Yo,
woman.
she's
And
hilarious.
yes, and she's also unintentionally hilarious on top of that because some of the stuff that comes to her mind, I'm just like, you know what? I wish I thought of that. There
Man.
was there was a
Yes.
comment during the Grammys where I was like, everyone was asking, can y'all understand SZA when she sings? I was like, she sings in squirt squirt, but she was like,
Yo.
yeah, that was me. But then she said something even funnier. She was like, she sings in Ho Chi Minh Yo, and I was just like, oh my god, Chris, no. Oh, not like a Sims character. Oh my god. Okay, so
Oh
she
my god.
she
Y'all are
she really,
dumb.
yeah, I know, but I think that's why we work as friends because we were literally bouncing off each other, and she was just like, "Oh, I remember where that phrase came from." I was like, "Yeah," but actually getting a chance to hang out with her and talk to her, especially about what she was doing in HUBTAKU back last year, is just refreshing. And again, she is such a brilliant mind, so I have to give her her flowers. Well, definitely shout out to Tati. I know Tati does a lot of content and a lot of slice of life. Just seeing her content on my pages or even on Instagram, I think it's amazing with all the work that she's put in. So I definitely got to give
Mhm.
her flowers as well. I'm over here giving flowers to everybody at HUBTAKU here. And of course, Bam. Oh man, Bam.
Bam.
Yeah,
Oh, bam.
if you listen to this episode, Bam, just know that your skits are absolutely hilarious. And I appreciate you so much. I've already told you this before multiple times, but I can't tell you enough. And so with that, I also want to give a special shout out to Tam for being able to have the vision to do this and to
Yep.
be able to bring you all together to create this. So with that in mind, I want you just take a little bit of time to explain what HUBTAKU is for those who do not know who listen to this podcast.
Yeah. So Hubtaku, what we aim to do essentially is to be the ultimate training mode for content creators in this anime, video game, pop culture space. So what we want to do is be able to bridge those communities, bridging content creators with companies, companies with content creators, companies with communities, communities with companies, so on and so forth. We want to be that integral piece to make sure that everybody is meeting everybody, getting those placements that they're looking for, getting the respect and hard work shined on and shown that they deserve. We want to make sure that we're the people that help that like get these creators to the top to their next level. We want to make sure that there's a bunch of Bams and Tatis and everything like that that are actually leading the charge in content creator space and getting adequately paid for it down the line from these corporations and stuff.
Excellent, excellent, man. Have you had any success stories with HUBTAKU yet?
Yeah, bro. I think one of the more recent success, well, there's two actually going on. At the time of recording this right now, we are actually finalists for the Game Hers organization for best DEI initiatives. So I think that goes live at the end of February into the top of March, where we'll know whether or not if we won or if another one wins. But being a finalist is a blessing in itself. And that came from a lot of hard work and making sure that there's, inclusion and everything in this space. And one of those pieces was being able to work a couple months back with the shout out to Corner Five,
Mm-hmm.
with them on a charity stream and being able to just bring in funds so that there's a group of Black women who would be able to actually go in and learn more about just gaming and things of that nature. Because gaming shouldn't look like, a bunch of guys. Gaming shouldn't look
Yes.
just like white people. Gaming honestly shouldn't even just look like VTubers. It should also look like Black women. I think that there should be a lot of space for a lot of people to be able to come in and do what they got to do. So
This man
why not
preaching
give
right
them
now.
the opportunity? Bro, no, you know how crazy it is? And it's definitely always going to be at least one woman in your life or two that's going to be able to smoke you on the sticks when it comes to certain games.
You ain't
Because I'll
lying.
let you know now, Tekken, bro, dog, I be button pressing every single thing at the same time. I don't know what I'm doing, but I look good doing it. It's all good.
Hey, listen. Now, me being me, I just got Tekken, but I also have Mortal Kombat as well. And one thing that I
Mm.
did was during the Mortal Kombat 1 demo, I was watching
Mm-hmm.
Chris.
Chris
And
waxed that ass, didn't she?
well, I didn't play against her, but yeah, we were watching the demo, and the fact that she was doing what she was doing to on very hard. Now, I'm a person who I'm like, okay, I'm either gonna play on medium or I'm gonna play on hard. But
Yup.
seeing what she did on very hard, I'm like, she might actually smoke me. And I think
Yo.
I'm good at Mortal Kombat. Oh man, I eventually we will play and we will find out. But I'm just sitting here like, dog, if I don't get my shit up, she's gonna absolutely wax me on the sticks.
Bro.
And that's not a bad thing. It's just damn, that's crazy. And I'm glad that she has the opportunity to be such a great gamer, because if you've watched any of her streams, like, she is truly a gamer in the true
She
literal
be in
sense.
there. She was playing Elden Ring, I think, this past Friday or so, and just watching her being able to navigate that, I'm like, yo, shout out all the ladies really doing it, bro. Chris,
Yes.
Phi, Simone, Sham, bro, like Courtney,
Courtney.
Kendra's out here doing what she got to do now. Like, a lot of the women are really stepping up. The Chaoses, there's just so many of them in this space that just need to be able to be shined a light on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited, and I'm just happy and blessed to be able to hop in these streams and just even interact.
Absolutely, man. And there is actually one more person that I anticipate to actually be a great Twitch streamer herself whenever she gets that opportunity. Of course, Shelby.
Oh
I
my
know that
god.
she's taking her time, but at the same time, whenever she gets that opportunity, I know she's gonna kill it. So,
Yeah.
whenever you do get the opportunity, Shells, you're like, hey, listen, we are 100% behind you. We're gonna 100% support, and we can't wait to see you do your thing over here on Twitch. So. Keep going. But as for all the other ladies that are out there, especially the Corner Five, yeah, watching your streams has been absolutely amazing.
Yep.
So,
That's a
yeah,
fact.
but hey, thank you for letting me know about the success stories of HUBTAKU, man. What is the like? If I had to ask this again, what is the most exciting thing about HUBTAKU in your eyes?
Honestly, bro, I think the most exciting thing about HUBTAKU. So there's a corporate answer I'm going to give you and a truthful answer.
Mm-hmm.
The corporate answer is the most exciting thing is being able to just touch and impact a bunch of people. Being able to, bro, I see it every day in this Discord where somebody will come in and be like, "Oh my God, thank you, Tammy. I didn't know that I could be able to do this, that, or the third with my business." Or, it might be a content piece and somebody might say, "Hey, this is a really good idea, Vonny. How did you do that?" I'm gonna drop my whole government on here. That's crazy. And then and then I'll be able to help and give them some insight and stuff like that on certain things. And they're like, "Hey, thank you." And then I'll see the fruits of their labor with their content. And it just shows that, they actually cared about what we say. They take stock in it. They support us. They support the things that we're doing, and their content is better off. So the machine is starting to work. Now, as far as the truthful answer, this past DreamCon, which, by the way, shout out to DreamCon for allowing us to be one of the proud sponsors last year.
Mm-hmm.
We worked also as press on there, and bro, being able to just see some of the content creators that I watch now, like, dog, I took pictures with fucking Berleezy, bro. The whole Sunbros squad. Gee, that was. I don't get starstruck, obviously, in anything of that nature, but just being able to meet and see this man and, like, bros noticing my tattoo for Mega Man Legends and him having the same favorite video game makes me feel like, damn, it's people really out here
Mm.
like me. And I can be a person like that for somebody else. And that's what I want ultimately.
Hey man, I'm glad that you are getting the experience that you are with this thing and with Hubtaku. I have a question that will follow up to that question later on, but
Okay.
I did want to ask, what are some of the like the more difficult things about being in Hubtaku and working with Hubtaku, if there are any, if there is anything that's difficult.
Honestly, bro, there's not really that many difficult things to work with. I think the most difficult thing right now, if we're being like very straightforward and honest, is that there's not enough time in the world to be able to put into it because
Hmm.
we still got to deal with our day jobs. Like surprise, we still work 9 to 5s. We still got to do that, and we can't fully put 1,000,000% into it just yet, like we know we can. So
Right.
having to be patient with the process and not having it blow up now is probably the more difficult thing. Um, I think honestly, bro, standing side by side with Tammy, it feels like the sky's the limit, and none of this shit is impossible. But we still got to walk towards it, and I'm more than willing to walk towards it together with her.
And you know what? That's the beauty of this, because not only do you have a partner in crime that you can work towards a goal with, but as you said, man, we are just out here being regular ass adults, and we
Right.
have 9 to 5s, and we want to be able to put our 100% behind the things that we love and what we do, but that comes with money, and unfortunately, that also means
Yeah.
coming to working under somebody else in some cases.
Man.
So it is what it is at times, but at the same time, I do love the fact that all of us out here are setting goals for ourselves to be able to put our efforts and our our love and 100% into what we want, what we truly want to do. I tell myself all the time, like, I eventually do want to make this podcast a big thing,
Yep.
and I'm trying to get Joe Budden money. I mean,
Yep.
he be acting crazy sometimes, but I'm trying to be on that scale, but on a more
Yo.
positive note, as opposed to any negativity, because we can take a look at the Fresh and Fit podcast. Fuck those niggas, excuse my language.
Yeah, no, we don't do that. We don't do that around here.
Absolutely,
That's ashy nigga behavior. I'm and part of my language too, but we don't do that in these households.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, yeah, man, it's good to hear, and I'm more appreciative hearing that that we are still out here just being normal humans, but we are actually working towards something bigger, and I think that's the really important thing that we have to take into account. With that in mind, are there any other cons that you guys are planning on working with? This is kind of the follow up to that last question.
Yeah, so I mean, we're actually in conversation with a couple conventions. We actually just had a meeting this past week with one of the cons. We can't drop the name just yet.
Obviously.
Um yeah, but like I
NDA.
hopefully we're working to foster a relationship with them. We did the Anime NYC last year. We would love to get back into business with them again in Anime Frontier.
Hmm.
Um you know what though? Like, I think going forward, we're starting to also want to potentially scale back on conventions and really foster home a lot more relationships with the individuals. So like
Hmm.
it's important and major to have a relationship with somebody, say like a DreamCon, somebody like an Anime NYC, and we want that, and we're going to make sure we're having that. But we also want to make sure we have just as important of a relationship with a Chaotic Culture, or an important relationship with somebody like a Kiera Please, or like a Corner Five, things of that nature that we mentioned a lot of those instances. So as far as cons going forward, the truth is it's not really like a set, all right, we're hard in stone, we're working with this person right now. We have things in the works that are coming down a pipeline, but for now we're more focused on community.
And regardless of working with cons, I think the focus on the community aspect is really important, because as you said, you want to be able to help people personally grow their brand, and I think that's really a strong testament for what you guys are about and what y'all believe in. So uh
Thank you.
yeah, really and truly, y'all are doing some great things over there, and I know that I'm gonna have to tap into the Discord a little more. I know for me personally, when you have like so many channels in the Discord, it can get kind of overwhelming
Yeah.
and things like that. But now it's like, well, this is a resource that I've had since you guys came into being. So it's like, let me go ahead and actually tap into that. I've started to put more focus again on this podcast, like earlier, like securing that sponsorship for a W. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that's one thing down. Now I got to focus on some other things as well if I want this to be what I'm looking for it to get to. So just to have y'all as a resource is excellent, man. So to a more personal question, what made you want to start becoming a VTuber?
Oh, so the road of just I Hate Vonny in general was kind of a long one, but so the VTuber aspect of it, I think, started maybe like it's definitely been under a year. It's been a couple months or so ago. So like Twitch started bubbling and booming a lot more in our space immediately. It's always been a thing for a while, but like in
Mm-hmm.
our space, we started seeing it more. I think Corner Five again really were some of the pioneers of our immediate friend group that started doing it. We wanted to tap into that a bit more, and I started hopping on Twitch really just to see who's up there, just to watch a couple things, just to enjoy just more so some of the content that's there. And I'll never forget there was one night where I had I think I had just gotten this new PC. And I was planning on doing streaming for it. I stumbled upon this Twitch account. Her name is Onsta, Onsta.
Mm-hmm.
She's actually a black VTuber based out of Japan. Her
Ooh.
content is so cool and so awesome. The design and style of it. She plays a lot of the games that I like Capcom related games.
Mm-hmm.
She does a lot of different stuff like that. And just seeing like the amount of people that were in her space and the amount of things that she was able to do with a VTuber account, I was like, what in the world is this? I've always had an artistic mind. I've always had like an artistic background, which that again, that all kind of equates to how like I Hate Vonny came to be, which is crazy. But like seeing that VTuber process and seeing her just really jump into that, I think at that point I was sold and I said, I need to ultimately take this character that I already have and turn it up another level. I got a VTube. I did a PNG tube essentially first, which is literally just the design, the drawing that I had that moves in certain instances. But then
Mm-hmm.
I put aside some money to be able to buy an actual 3D model, and it's paid off since.
Wow. Wow, man. That's great. That's great. While in that VTuber space, are there any goals that you have in mind that you want to achieve, whether they be short term or long term?
Yes. So goals, and from an aspect, I want my VTuber to be very recognizable to the point where merchandise and everything, you see this logo that is essentially my face, and you know that it's me. One, two, you
Mm-hmm.
go and buy it based on the merch and everything that you're looking to do. Which, by the way, there is merch coming soon. Um,
Hey.
Ultimately, I want to be able to be a prominent figure in this space. I want to be able to be somebody to show that black VTubers also are able to, be able to put their imprint and footstep into this. I know that like it's starting to bubble up a lot more in spaces where VTubers aren't really popular. So there needs to be more black faces that step in and show and are able to be on Front Street to show that you should also hop into it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really ultimately I think I just want to make myself from X amount of years ago look at myself and say, you know what, I'm proud of where you came, and all of those goals that you set before in the past didn't happen, but these goals that you set now are obtainable, and I'm happy and satisfied that you got to this point. I'm just striving essentially to make my yesterday better than, make my yesterday proud of where my tomorrow is.
That's a quote, man. That is that is a quote. I think all of us have the mindset of to try to make your tomorrow better than it was the day before, and to see that you have these goals and ideas that you want to accomplish. I think that that's admirable, and I'm definitely going to be in your corner 100%. you know when you go,
Appreciate you.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, man. That's what the support is here for, man. With that in mind, uh aside from the VTuber thing, I did want to ask, are you still creating music, and are you implementing that as part of your brand right now?
It's funny you should say that because absolutely. So Um, the music aspect, I've been making music since 2010, I want to say.
Hmm.
I remember this was many years ago. I remember wanting to be, I think I wanted to be like something like an artist. No, yeah, I wanted to be an artist. And this is why this all comes full circle. I wanted to be an artist when I was a kid. I used to draw a lot. And then I think I got to freshman year of high school. Freshman year of high school came and I had to take art classes and realize I'm like, I don't want to draw no trees. Like, what am I doing? But
Right.
you're young, you're naive, you don't realize that they're preparing you to be able to actually draw properly. So perspective and all that stuff. I was like, I just
Hmm.
want to draw anime characters. I quit art And for like 2 years, I was absolutely aimless. I was like, I'm just gonna get a desk job and just make money and exist, which is depressing. Which is
Hilarious.
depressing. Then one I'll never forget. There is a sneaker forum called Nike Talk.
Mhm.
This was 2009 or 2010, one of these years. I remember I made an account and I was on there, and I used to just go through because I'm a big fan of sneakers too. But then I went my way into like the
Word.
general forums and the music forums, and they had what's called a beat makers thread where people were just posting beats and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like people making beats and shit. Like, okay. Come to find out, like after a while, there were some folks in there who were like, hey, this is how you make beats and everything. So then I was like, wait, I can use this thing called Fruity Loops and make beats. Okay. I went and I just as a heads up now, I bought my Fruity Loops, but back then we had to use other Luffy means.
Of course.
Um, so I had my Fruity Loops, did what I had to does, and at first those beats were terrible, but there was some shine in there a little bit. And then a couple years later, it got to a point where it's like, all right, well, my beats are actually pretty high. They're actually pretty good. Then it's hard getting people to rap on your beats because either rappers are either just unreliable, they're not good, or they might just not mesh with the music you make.
Right.
So then it got to a point where I was like, all right, well, damn, then I'm going to write music and then have people maybe sing over it and stuff. So I was writing songs and everything like that and trying to get like people to sing and do stuff over, my songwriting and my beats and stuff. Also didn't work out because once again, people are unreliable. Then after a while I said, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna just do it myself. And then what I did was I did my first song. It was bad. But I kept doing it. And I kept doing it. And then ultimately I learned how to rap properly. And then I'd like to think that I became pretty good at it. And I've been rapping since. And ultimately, like the VTuber aspect is going to be a model and a vessel to be able to promote my music as well. I'm right now in the process. My big goal that you mentioned, I'm trying to learn animation in 3D so that I can utilize this 3D VTuber for animated music videos and stuff based on like the songs I make. Based on other songs. It's just a lot of different things. Like after this interview, I'm going in to properly learn Blender some more.
Okay.
And you asked about music coming. Absolutely. Last year, March 2023, I dropped my album Third Time's a Charm, which is the first full album I did. Later on this year, I will be releasing another album. I'm pinning it for somewhere around the September area, maybe sometime after the summer. It's going to be called Death and Rebirth.
Okay.
So that one's going to be a doozy.
Definitely looking forward to it, man. I wanted to go back to something that you said about, writing
Yep.
the first time that you rap or the first song that you make and how it was terrible. When you were in that space, I guess, making the song for the first time, did you think that it was going to be something that was going to be, good? Like, oh yeah, this is going to be like the best thing that I ever wrote or the best thing that I've ever done. And then you listen back to it like, yo, what the fuck was I thinking? Excuse my language again. Like you just looking at it like, damn, yo, this shit was ass. Because I do that too sometimes. Like I look back at
Mm-hmm.
poems that I used to wrote when I was younger, and I'm just sitting there like, yo, what was I
This is
on?
booty.
Exactly.
Like lyrical miracle individual in your swimming pool type stuff. Bro,
Wow.
back absolutely to your point. Back then, when you're doing it and you're writing it, like you think that you're on top of the world and you're bopping your head to it, like, yo, this is hard, this is tough. But then you go back and actually listen to, but also you're not the same person as you were, X amount of years
Exactly.
ago. But I think I am better now than I was before. And I listen and I'm like, nah, that ain't it, Chief. Like I remember my third beat ever, I think I tried sampling Sexy Boy Shawn Michaels, and I
Mm.
think I still have it somewhere on my computer. Garbage.
Wow.
Garbage. Garbage, bro. And I thought I was doing it until my brother actually one day heard me making it, listening to it, and he walked in the room and he was like, yo, what is this? Like, bro, it
Mm.
tore my heart out of my soul, but I needed that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man.
man. Growth was important. And as you go along the
Mm-hmm.
years, you'll realize like the stuff that you probably used to do when you were younger, is not you're not in the same mindset, or of course you're not in the same place. And you can look back at it with a mature mind, like, damn, this shit was really like terrible. And I say that, yeah, coming from somebody who does poetry, and then also there were times where I have recorded like a few rap songs. I'm not gonna say too much, but
Cat
there were
got a
times.
16?
Man, nah, I'm not a freestyler. I'm a writer. So there was times where, like, even in college, my college days, one of our big brothers had made a beat. We all just
Mm-hmm.
like went into the closet, just to record and shit. And
Yep.
I thought I like out of all of my brothers, I thought I had the hardest verse out of all of them, which I did. But then I still went back and listened to it. And I was just like, yo, what was I on, bro?
Oh, we
Like
was
this
all
shit was,
doo doo.
yeah, it was like, yo, this shit was terrible. And then getting on a stage the first time to try and rap. And this is kind of not that I didn't know that rapping was for me, because I've been on stage before. I've done public speaking before. I've memorized speeches. I've done poems in front of people. I'm an actor, man. Like I've done this before, and so I kind
Yep.
of went in with that same mindset. But rapping is a little different. So it's just like, oh shit. And the
Man,
first time that I tried to rap a verse in front of an audience was kind of like, ah, damn, I'm glad that this is just an open mic, because I can clearly see that I'm
man,
not the best at this. Damn. Whoo boy.
bro.
But
Can I speak to that real quick?
yeah, man,
So
go ahead.
2 points. First and foremost, you mentioned that you're not a freestyler. I'll be the first to admit, bro, I write all of my stuff. I don't
Hmm.
freestyle it. If I'm freestyling, it's very trolly. It's just nothing. And
Right.
funny fact, I remember I was having a conversation with, shout out Omar, by the way. I was having a conversation with Omar on his does his treadmill talk, and he asked me to do a 16, and then my phone froze, because I went full Drake. I was like, yo, let me go pull up some lyrics real quick, bro. But nobody know that. But the point of like performing live, I performed live for the first time right. This is 2020, right before the pandemic. I went to an open mic in Brooklyn, and when I tell you, it's completely different than when you're like recording yourself. At this point,
Hmm.
my raps is good, but I'm like, I've never done it live, bro. I was out of so much breath. Bro, the very first time I got on, I bombed. It wasn't great. I was able to go back up and redeem myself a second time, but like that first time, it's defeating. And I think everybody need to go through that to realize, like, yo, bro, it's not as much of a walk in the park as people think it is.
Absolutely, man. As you said, it takes, not only memorization, but
Yep.
breath control. It
Yep.
also, you have to have a certain kind of energy. When you go up, you
Mm-hmm.
have to have the stage presence, and you've got to be able to engage the crowd. You've got to be able to have the kind of rap voice that's different from in the booth.
Yep.
And it all comes together and it all plays a part. You just can't go up there and expect to just pull it off without a hitch, without going through some sort of trial and tribulation. I mean, if you're like a true MC, now there are those that have, blown up on TikTok and whatnot, or have blown up on other social media means and have found the quickest way to stardom. I'm not gonna say
Yep.
any names, but it's like you can tell that, okay, you don't have any stage presence. You're still kind of rapping with the track, which I know a lot of rappers, when they're starting out will do, but you don't have any kind of, there's no emotion on your face. There's no real emotion in your words. There's no passion in the words. There's no breath control. You just kind of like there.
Yep.
And that does not make for a great rap performance at all. Like you don't have to be like old school, but if you listen to people like, and hip hop just had its 50th anniversary, but if you see
Yes, he
LL
did.
get on stage, this man is over 50, about to be 60 years old, and he's still out there rapping like he's 19. And it's just like, we
Mm-hmm.
need stuff like that. People who have been through, the artist growth or PR, and that's what the AR, A&R was for, getting you prepared to be on those big stages, and that meant sometimes hitting those little market stages,
Yep.
or those open mics, and getting you up to the stardom where you need to be. But when you see like the legends go up there and rap without their tracks, of course they may have to rememorize the lyrics because it's been a while since they performed it, but still, it's like
Man.
almost like riding a bike for them. Like, okay, I remember now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got to get up there. Boom. I know what I'm doing now. So it really just it takes a lot of training.
And
And
don't let you have stage fright.
oh yeah, that's another thing that comes into a part. This is coming from me who does not have stage fright anymore, because
Same.
I, again, actor. I've been doing acting since I was the age of 6. I'm not afraid of the audiences anymore. But it's different when you're performing a different kind of piece. Like the first time that I performed, just open mic, just the first time I performed a poem, it was different than me being an actor, because I'm like, okay, I have to find a way to, good pause in between this line. Do I want to repeat this line because I think it's good, or do I want to keep going? Do I want to do this slow? Do I want to do this fast? Like there's certain kinds of things that go into actual performance when you're doing something live like that. And granted, I was nervous because I'm like, I've never done, slam poetry or spoken word. like this in this medium in front of these, people before. This is it's a little something different. Not
Yep.
scared, but it can be nerve-wracking if you've never done it before and don't, take the proper steps to prepare yourself.
Right. Man. Hey, and I think that's all a testament to you. You doing this in six. Like it shows in the podcast that you carry, it shows in Shogo, it shows in all of these other different facets that you handle. I can't wait until y'all ultimately get y'all live panel or whatever the case may be at these conventions and things of that nature. Because I know you're going to be one of those prominent people shining and really rocking that crowd.
Hey man, I definitely appreciate that 100%. Speaking of which, that's something that I'm working on for an upcoming con. Hopefully, it get approved. It's not
Yes,
DreamCon or
sir.
anything, but hey, look, it's a con that's near to me. So if I can get that panel approved, then we on the right step. So one step at a time, one foot in front of the other, and I'm hoping that something will come of it. And if it doesn't, keep trying until I do.
Yep. Man, listen, bro, whatever you're doing, I'm supporting you 1,000,000%.
Hey, appreciate that, game, for real, for real.
No.
Now, when it comes to the stuff that you do,
Yep.
obviously, I just want to ask, like, what is like the soundtrack to your life?
Ooh. So I I don't want to be like one of the people that like I listen to all kinds of music, but I
Mm-hmm.
kind of really do. I'm very eclectic when it comes to like my taste in music. I will say lately, right now, I'm back in my oldie swing where I listen to a lot of like 70s related things. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was driving to the gym earlier yesterday listening to I'm wishing on a star, that type of stuff.
Woo! Rolls
Bro,
Royce.
yes, sir.
Let's go.
Voyage to Atlantis is probably one of my favorite songs of all time, so I'm always
Ooh,
running that.
bruh.
Yeah, like very big on like Isley's, big on God, I can't think of some of their names, Stylistics, things of
Mm-hmm.
that nature. I'll also really listen to like Tame Impala is one of my favorite bands ever.
Okay.
Um, when it
Name
comes
some
to
good
like,
ones, bro.
bro, Tame Impala is really that jam for real.
Yeah, man.
I'll listen to when it comes to rap, I think right now I've been listening to a lot of what is that guy's name? I'm actually real live right now opening up my Spotify to tell you.
Hey,
He
that's fine, bro.
I'm listening to a lot of what is that guy's name? Give me 1 second, give me 1 second, give me 1 second. It is hold on. It is Bank. It wasn't Bankroll Fresh, but I was listening to Bankroll. I've been listening to
Mm-hmm.
a lot of Slim Thug lately. Um,
Okay.
Wale was in there. Ross. God, why couldn't I think of Rick Ross's name?
It
I should be.
sometimes happens, bro.
I was like, yo, bro, I know his name, but it's Rick Ross. So like, I Teflon Don, w-
Yes.
2010, I think is probably. I think that might be my favorite rap album of all time. I think it might be. If it's not, it's definitely number two. Oh,
Man, I
and
could I
one.
could talk about that because listen, Teflon Don. When I was in college, and
Mhm.
I'm not like the biggest Rick Ross fan, but I loved Deeper Than Rap and Teflon Don. Like that
Yep,
was the soundtrack to my whole damn college career, pretty much. Like, okay, yeah. And then at the very tail end, I get God Forgives and I Don't and Mastermind, which are really good projects. But yeah, Teflon Don was that album from Ross. Like, if there's
bro.
out of all of his albums, that is probably my favorite.
Dog, I can't like the from start to finish, it bangs. I think the music and the style that came from it is unparalleled when it comes to a lot of different artists out today.
Hmm.
Um, and really like me personally, I think the one other album that's really like competing with it around that top spot, a lot of people might say is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. When it comes to rap
Yes.
wise, I think those two are like really like some of rap's like just peak music when it comes to a full album. The only other thing I'll say as far as like music goes is what I'm listening. I'm always going to push this agenda. Please make sure y'all are listening to this one artist named Leanne La Havas. She came out in God, when did that album Is Your Love Big Enough come out? I think it was like 2011, 2012, something like that. Leanne La Havas is based out of the UK. She's big now. She had her self-titled album come out around the time of the pandemic, and that did a lot. Like it did great numbers. It was featured on Joe
Ooh,
Budden
ooh, ooh,
podcast
okay.
and stuff. I know she had her album Blood, but that first album, Is Your Love Big Enough, is undoubtedly my favorite album of all time when it comes to any artist.
Bro, I almost didn't recognize the name until I like it literally pulled up on my Spotify the moment I typed in. I'm like, oh wait, this Leanne LaHavas. Okay, I've recognized that. Sometimes I just went with what you just went through. Like, damn, why couldn't I think of the name? But
Yeah,
then
it
literally when you
happens.
said it, this is like click. Oh, her. Yes, absolutely. You preaching. Now I will happily admit that I haven't listened to like her entire catalog like that.
Mm-hmm.
I've listened to songs here and there, but I will definitely hop into that because I'm always ready and willing to listen to some new artists and some new shit. I mean, this podcast is not a music podcast per se, but it's based in music. So that's kind of my thing. So yeah, thank you for saying that name again, man. That definitely reminded me that I definitely got to dive in, which also reminds me that for those who are listening to or want to listen to something smooth and you need time to just kind of whether it be healing or whether you just need some cleaning music or you need something to just kind of vibe to, this is your opportunity to break out of the simple hip-hop and R&B frame and go listen to some Robert Glasper.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes,
that's kind
sir.
of been my whole thing last week because this week I was without a phone. But last week I literally just was like playing his music throughout when I was working and whatnot. We're allowed to play music in the office so long as it's not like too vulgar. So of course I put on some Robert Glasper and I was just vibing and my manager came. It's like, hey man, I love this music that you playing. Like, who is it? I'm like, Robert Glasper, bro. Definitely. Like that man. Absolutely 100% love his music, and
Robert
in
Glasper
turn,
got
of
some
course, that
heat.
means that if you don't know the other artists that he's attached to, listen to some Terrace Martin or shoot, throw another name out there. We just talked about the Isley brothers, Ernie's daughter, Alex Isley.
Alex Isley got smoked, bro. Alex Isley got some
Mm-hmm.
heat, bro.
Absolutely. So yeah, please, do what you can to expand your music taste. Now, before we get into this rapid fire, we definitely got to talk about what happened on this past
Woo!
Thursday. Listen,
Woo! The slap her around the world.
yes. Now, y'all, again, we some wrestling heads, so we gonna throw a little bit of wrestling in there. We got to. I was one of the people who had said, listen, am I Cody Rhodes's like biggest fan? Not really, but I do like the story that they were building. And in order for it to make sense, he has to finish the story at WrestleMania. From just from a storyline perspective, I'm like, this wouldn't make any sense if The Rock and Roman just inserted their match and kind of like left him to go face Seth because that doesn't make any sense at all. Like Seth, and they addressed that Monday night where Seth asked Drew McIntyre. He was just like, "Hey, I've already beaten you twice for this title," and then Drew was like, hey, "Well, this is the pot calling the kettle black. Didn't you lose to Cody 3 times?" So it was like, okay, now we're starting to make those connecting the dots of the story before it gets off the rails.
Yep.
So I am appreciative of that entire segment. But yes, Thursday, I don't know what we were expecting. I'm thinking, okay, maybe the WWE are still going to stay with the top brass. They're going to just do Rock and Roman, and Cody's going to have to find another direction. But I have hope that they listened to their audience. They saw the backlash of that idea and was like, nah, we gotta course correct and go with what we originally planned and actually finish this story for Cody and have him have his WrestleMania moment. At least that's what I'm hoping that they'll do, is give him his WrestleMania moment, because when it comes to when we don't invoke his name anymore, but when the former guy who was the CEO and the owner of WWE, one of the biggest things that he liked about WrestleMania was for you know somebody to have their WrestleMania moment and end with, of course, the babyface or the good guy ending on top. Now, has it always happened? Not necessarily, but in most WrestleManias, you always get that opportunity, or you'll see that opportunity where the good guy does end up winning. The
Yep.
few times that, of course, that it did not happen, outside of like, and I'm going back to like the Attitude Era, where it was WrestleMania 2000, uh, WrestleMania 17, where Stone Cold, turned heel and joined that other guy for some strange reason.
Freaky V.
Confusing as all hell. It's not often that the bad guy wins at WrestleMania, but I'm trying to think. The Miz, I forgot which WrestleMania that was, but that was when Rock was hosting. And it's very rare that you get like bad guy. When I guess Seth with WrestleMania 31, that was technically a heel winning, but I think a lot of people loved that, and so it was
Hey,
kind of it's one of those gray areas. Like, well, yeah, he's a heel, but people love the fact that he just came into the match, made it a triple threat, and just won the championship. Like that made it for like the biggest surprise of all time for at least at that point. But and then of course you got Roman Reigns, the heel, who has won back-to-back WrestleManias these last 3 years.
I got
So
a
it's
curveball for you on that too. So WrestleMania 16, my first WrestleMania,
mm-hmm.
the bad guy won that one, and you know who that bad guy was?
I think when the Triple H, that's WrestleMania 2000,
Uh-huh.
or yeah. So
Exactly.
yeah, so that was, I think that's the first WrestleMania where like the bad guy ended up winning or holding on to the championship, because I'm trying to remember all the other WrestleManias before, and I think that was the only one um that I can think of off the top of my head anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's WrestleMania is supposed to be that pinnacle where the good guy finally reaches the top of the mountain and claims his victory, and of course has his WrestleMania moment. When we look at different WrestleMania moments in the past, let's look at Kofi Mania, let's look at Daniel Bryan finally getting in at WrestleMania 30.
Fire.
Let's look at Becky Lynch. That's another story. Let's look at Bianca Belair. Granted, the first
Fire.
time that she won, granted Sasha Banks wasn't a heel, but she was that up and coming baby face that they wanted to put a rocket on her and shoot her up to the next level. And that moment that she had with Sasha, who goes by Mercedes Moné now, was
Yep.
absolutely incredible, especially for those of us who are black. And seeing two black women main event night one was just like, wow, WWE is actually doing this. Crazy. So yeah, it's meant for the guy at the top of the mountain, or the guy who was climbing to get to the top of the mountain, actually reach the peak. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, this is what needs to happen with Cody, because for too long now we've had Reigns, who was he was groomed to be the top guy, but when the old guy was running everything, he wanted to groom him into the next baby face or the next John Cena, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold. That
Yep.
didn't work. So obviously he said, do the run as a heel, and it worked for them. Reigns became the top guy, but he was still the top heel. So he was the final boss, or is the final boss at this point. So now that we've got that storyline, we need someone to come in and actually take out the final boss. Like, you can't leave him undefeated forever. But with this whole Rock situation, it just made things even spicier, because it's like, damn, they shot themselves into a work. So now it's like, okay, we
Yo,
have
dead
to
ass.
we have to
Dead
play like
ass.
this is the plan all along, and have pretend like we're gonna do Rock and Roman, but we're really gonna do Cody and Roman, but the Rock is gonna be involved somehow. And what I'm thinking is, okay, Roman and Rock are going to be a quote unquote aligned, and it's going to make the bloodline look stronger and things like that. And then when it comes time to WrestleMania, one of them is going to turn on the other. Cody's going to end up being the winner, and then that's going to build to WrestleMania 41, where we actually have the match.
Yeah.
At least that's my
I
thought process.
You know what? And remember on our the prior episode we all did together, we did have this conversation about how they were going to book this, and we
Mm-hmm.
all thought that like obviously it was going to be like everybody unanimously felt like said Cody was going to be the one outside of I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe JB, but I got to go back and watch that episode again. But the whole point of getting to this point, like you said, like Mania is the coronation of all the hard work that you put the prior
Yep.
year leading up to that point, to say, hey, all of this that you did, we're putting this crown on your head. You gave us every bit of yourself for this year. We are giving you this title and making you a mega star. Like, that's why Bianca Belair was in that position. That's why Drew McIntyre, which by the way is doing some of his best work right now, was in
Yes.
that position. That's why even Roman Reigns was in that position, so on and so forth. I think you can't, if you done it last year, you can't smoke him again this year. You can't have Cody go
Yeah.
through another situation where he get like absolutely flambasted to the side. It was sticky for a while with the whole Rock point, because I thought they were going to do a dual main event thing where it's Rock and Roman night one, then Roman and Cody night two.
Mm-hmm.
But now either the trajectory is like you said, you're building this, playing the long game, leading to 41. You got your Rock versus Roman match, or you're doing your Rock Roman Cody triple threat match in night 2 of this year, and it's going to lead into that. I don't know which one makes sense the most. I think it can get convoluted adding all 3 of them in there, but
Yep.
also everybody needs to think about Damian Priest because he's still got that Money in the Bank on him.
Yep.
And y'all got to stop calling that man bisexual Undertaker. That shit is hilarious, though. That shit is hilarious, though.
Dog, I don't know where that came from, but man, that was funny as hell the first time that I heard that. I was just like, yo, they really called this man bisexual Undertaker. I cannot. But hey, yo, I've been a fan of Damian Priest since he was Punishment Martinez, so I am looking forward to what he will do from this point forward, because I do think that he is going to end up leaving the Judgment Day behind. But I also think, yeah, he's the next one up as far as he's eventually going to be a champion or a world champion. Like I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's really crazy. Road to WrestleMania, man. With that press conference, of course, we
We
saw
eating good.
yeah, and of course, as we said, we saw the slap her around the world, where it was funny that when Cody decided to choose Roman's called his dad irrelevant, but then Cody shot back and saying that your grandfathers would be ashamed of you, and then Rock all of a sudden got interjected, said, "You talk
Got in his
about his
feelings.
blood, you talk about my blood, you talk about his family, you talk about my family," and then slapped him right across the face, and it's just like, well, wait a minute now, like you gonna let Roman talk about Dusty, but then Cody can't talk about your grandfather and High Chief Peter Maivia. Like, what are we doing here?
And it
But
was tame. What he said was very tame, bro. It
very
wasn't even like he said nothing crazy.
exactly. He ain't say nothing. He didn't say anything crazy, just like he would be ashamed of y'all. But here we are, and I kind of can't wait to see what where we go from here. But this is going to be a very, very entertaining story, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens at WrestleMania. And I'm just like you, man. I don't think you could do Cody again. You can't do him dirty again, like, because then
No.
that would just make your Royal Rumble winner look like pointless. Why would you have somebody win back to back Royal Rumbles just for them to lose back to back
Back to
Manias?
back.
That's overkill. And someone in our group, not gonna say her name, but I know she's a Cody hater. But she had made that suggestion, like Cody can finish his story later. He'll I predict this is what's gonna happen. He's gonna end up losing at Mania. I'm like, if WWE has him lose at WrestleMania, that's going to kill any momentum that Cody has at this point forward, and pretty much leave him in the same space that he was when he was at AEW. That's not going to work, and I don't think WWE is gonna, do something like that. That would be like, okay, well then y'all pretty much have no faith in him being one of the faces of the company at this point. That's what y'all are telling us. But nah, I don't foresee that happening unless they again swerve us.
Hey, and just to that point, if we run into a situation again like that where they do all of that, bro, that next night WWE, that Monday Night Raw, nah, bro. What's AEW talking about? Speaking of swerve, I swerve when I drive. Now what? Now what? Nah.
And you spitting facts though. Yeah, that Raw after WrestleMania, if Cody loses, oh, I already know it's going to be
It's gonna be
poisonous. It will be
crazy.
poisonous as hell, yeah. But regardless of what happens, it's gonna be crazy. And we were robbed of that last year because the old man got involved, and it was
Freaky,
just like, yeah.
man.
There's some other things going on regarding that case with the old man. So
Mm-hmm.
I just want to reiterate once again, there are actual programs and charities out there for those who have been victims of or survivors of sexual assault. So I just want you to know that, at least between us, you have our support. But
Yep.
let us know if you need us to provide anything as far as resources to get the help and the healing that you need, because we are going to be a source here that will be a safe space for those women. So I want you all to recognize that, that sexual assault and abuse, harassment, all of that is not okay with any of us here in the Khaotic Culture Podcast or any of the other platforms that I'm a part of. And also, please let me know if there's somebody that I know in our community that is participating in that and has harmed women in any sort of kind of way. Please be the first to let me know, so that
That's
way
a
we
fact.
can distance ourselves and then also provide the resources we can to help you out of your situation. Just please, just let me know. If I got to pull up on somebody, I will too. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Listen, that's how strongly I am about it. If I hear somebody doing some shady shit, I'm like, oh, bet where he at?
We don't do that in this household, bro.
Yeah. So, before we get up out of here, of course, I'm gonna do a little bit of a rapid fire here with you, Vonny, and then of course we'll plug our sources, and then plug up all of our friends and all of the other things that they're doing, and then we're gonna go ahead and sign off.
Let's do it.
All right. So, favorite R&B artist?
Leanne La Havas.
Okay. Favorite rap artist?
Oh, Lloyd Banks.
That. Favorite pop star, if you have one?
Ooh, God. Pop star. I want to say, oh, you know what? Let's placehold Drake, and then I'll come back to that.
Okay. Favorite old school artist?
Isley Brothers.
Bet. Favorite Afrobeat / African artist?
You want to know what's funny? I'm not too well versed in Afrobeats just yet. I'm like very new to it. So I'd be lying if I pick one.
Hey, more power to you, man. Listen, I understand. It's still a very quote unquote new genre. But
please send me Rex out there if y'all can. Please.
Definitely. All right. Favorite dancehall or reggae artist, if you're into that?
You know what? That doesn't count. I don't know why, but for both of these, my ignorant ass almost said Return of the Mac both times. But
what?
Yo, dog. The both times you said, yo, bro, favorite dance hall, my head went dun 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 dun. Oh
wow.
Yeah, wow. But same for that. Send me them Rex. Yo, Omar and Tony and them, they gonna beat my ass for this.
I was about to say, like, wait a minute, what does Mark Morrison have to do with dancehall and reggae? Like, what?
I'll be dancing down the hall.
You're not lying, though. Okay, I'll give you that one, man. Right, I would have said or accepted even if you just said Bob Marley or one of the Marleys. I would have been like, hey, you know what? Cool, but
I wasn't even gonna do it, bro.
Okay. I'm gonna have to clip this one. Like, yo,
yes.
This is what Vonny had to say for dance hall and reggae. Like, let me know what y'all think because this is outrageous. Okay, all right. Back to our regular schedule program. Do you have any K-pop artists that you like?
Twice.
Okay, good choice. Do you have a rock band that you like?
Yes. I'm gonna say Tame Impala.
Good shit. Favorite game
of all time? Mega Man Legends.
Bet. Favorite anime
of all time? Tie between Sailor Moon and Detective Conan. Case closed.
Okay, good choices. Favorite Saturday morning cartoon?
I want to say Sonic X, actually. Sonic X.
Speaking of which, it is actually on Netflix, and I'm about to binge that again.
Go!
Yes, sir.
Also, can I just honorable mention Ultimate Muscle too?
Yes. Also a good series.
Thank you.
All right. Here's some wrestling questions. Favorite WWE wrestler of the Golden Age?
Of the Golden Age, I'm going to go. I want to say Macho.
Okay. Very good choice. That's actually my favorite.
I want to say Macho Man because I'm not picking that other name.
Of course not. Yeah. Absolutely not. All right. Favorite WWE wrestler of the. I'm not going to do New Generation because this kind of bleeds into this. Favorite of the Attitude Era.
Attitude Era. Tie between Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels.
Okay. All right. Favorite wrestler of the Ruthless Aggression Era.
Ruthless Aggression Era, I'm gonna say, I think it might still be Jeff Hardy. MVP is up there too.
Bet. All right.
Oh no. Also, I know he MAGA but Kane too.
Yeah, that guy.
I
Wait, joking.
know, but bro, he's
I
still on my Mount Rushmore. I'm sorry.
Hey, no argument there. Great in the ring. Just yeah, his
Yeah,
politics is a lot of wrestlers' politics in general is shitty, but yeah, his
yeah,
especially.
right.
Okay. Uh, favorite wrestler of the PG reality era. So this is the era before the one that we're currently in.
We was in the trenches with that, and I want to let y'all know that right now. The PG reality era, I'm going to say, I really want to say not Evan Bourne. He's up there though.
Mm-hmm.
PG reality era. I don't know why my head is going to CM Punk. Maybe CM Punk.
Yeah, that'll work. That works. Okay. And a favorite wrestler of this new Renaissance era that we're in.
Finn Balor. I think Finn Balor's the GOAT. Finn Balor created wrestling. Finn Balor created everything that is holy. I don't give a hoot what y'all say. I'm just kidding. But I really am a big fan of Finn Balor as far as the men's go. And as far as women's go, I really want to say Bianca Belair, but
And you just
I'm
asked my
kind of
next question.
I'm Dakota Kai Hive.
Hey, listen, I'm definitely a big fan of King Coda.
Bro,
So
King
yeah,
Coda, bro. She can do no wrong.
she can't. I definitely am a big fan of Dakota Kai. But hey, you answered that question already, so cool. I don't have to go ahead and I can go into the next one then. Curveball, favorite WCW wrestler.
WCW, I'm going to go with, I think Rey Mysterio Jr. might be, Chris Jericho might be. Either it's a three-way: Rey Mysterio Jr., Chris Jericho, and La Parka.
Okay.
Him
Ooh,
doing the strum with the chair is hilarious.
yeah. Hey man, I hadn't heard that. I hadn't heard Parker's name in a minute.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that back. Okay. Favorite wrestler of ECW.
Rob Van Dam. Definitely Rob Van Dam.
Yep. Okay. Favorite wrestler in TNA. This could be past or present.
I think, well, Tammy, don't kill me, but I have the biggest crush on Killer Kelly. I'm picking Killer Kelly. I have the biggest crush on Killer Kelly. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But I'll also
Hey,
say Petey Williams too. Petey Williams is that guy.
yes, he is. He absolutely is. And bro, trust me, I understand the Killer
Bro,
Kelly. Trust me,
hey,
I get it. I'm hearing you.
ask for forgiveness, not for permission.
Yep, that part. Okay. If you have one, a favorite wrestler in AEW.
Yeah, favorite wrestler in AEW, I'm going to say Malachi Black.
Okay.
Which, by the way, get that man some singles reps. I feel like
Please.
he's out of there. I feel like he's on his way to the E. But
Mm-hmm.
Malachi was one of my favorite pieces of NXT coming up. He wasn't my absolute favorite, but definitely one of them.
Man, listen, when he was Aleister Black within WWE, I loved him. And he wasn't my favorite like you, but yeah, I absolutely loved this man. And I thought that the Black Mass was one of the best
One of the
finishers.
best.
And it's so quick, but it's just
Yep.
so smooth. And it's just like, damn, yo, like it. The thing about finishes, I either like a super
Like a
I like
devastating
either
slam.
like I like a super technical move that has never been seen before, or I like something that's going to be like swift but also looks completely painful.
Yep.
So the like Black Mass, I'm like if that happened in real life, that's lights out. So
That's one of the many reasons why I'm a big fan of Lola Vice. I'm throwing that out there.
oh yeah, because she has a kick she calls the Buenos Noches.
Man, which
So
is
yeah,
hard.
it is. It is. I am. What is my favorite? Well, I'm on the subject. Favorite NXT wrestler.
Right now, honestly, Carmelo Hayes. As much as
Ooh.
I shout out that man Trick Williams too. Trick one of them ones, but I think Carmelo Hayes in ring, bro, bar none.
Listen, if y'all I'm sorry that I did not get a chance to follow Carmelo Hayes when he was in the Indies, but I saw some of his indie work afterwards, and I'm like, oh, this dude is
He's
good.
different.
Like, yeah, he different. And so, yeah, listen, and granted, I like Carmelo Hayes as both a face and a heel, and I think he does supreme heel work. And I can't wait to see where this rivalry goes. I am going to be biased towards Trick Williams because one, he went to University of South Carolina, but I also found out this man went to Hampton when I was in school, and I'm just
So
sitting here like, wow, what?
Y'all ain't had class together?
No, because when he was a freshman, I was a senior.
Ah,
And when you're a football player, sometimes schedules don't align and things like that. I'm getting into my actual grad school courses at this point, so I'm starting
yeah.
to have like classes that are going to be closer to nighttime. But yeah, I found out that he was on the football team in 2012, and of course I'm in the band as well, so we're all separated from that. It's
Yep.
just crazy that I had so many people that went to our school, and I didn't realize exactly who they were until later on. Now Earth Gang, I knew who they were because I had plenty of interactions with Dr. Doc, aka Wild Great, for those who
Say
know who that
word.
is. Yeah, I've had plenty of interactions with him, so they were together in school, so they were coming up. But
Yeah.
with Jid, I had no idea who Jid was. I knew about the what they call the James Hall mixtape, which he was a part of. I knew
Yeah.
about that, and I knew that he had a crazy flow, but I didn't know one that he was on the football team. And then, of course, I didn't know that he got out by 5 because of that incident that happened. But
Mm.
still, like when he blew up with the Never story, I was like, yo, I've seen his face before, but I can't like put my finger on it. Like where? And then someone told me he went to Hampton, and then I was like, oh, okay, wow, all right, cool. And then of course, Earth Gang. I'm like, but I've been knew about them, but I did not know about Trick. That was I was surprised at that one. They were like, yeah,
That's
he went to Hampton for
crazy.
like a year, or a year or two, and then he transferred back to University of South Carolina. I'm just like, this man went to my school and then he went to my state school. What? And I
The-
found out, of course, he's from South Carolina too. So it's just like, okay, damn, yeah, I gotta support that man. Like
Yep.
he's
That
he's he's from my
trajectory go
yeah,
crazy.
yeah. So yeah, very, very crazy. And then just seeing the amount of love that he's been getting from the live audiences. Look, he came out on
Bro.
SmackDown and had the whole crowd yelling "whoop that trick." I'm like, this man is over with the
He
with the main
over.
roster audience. Yo, get him up
Over.
to the main roster, like not now, but get him up as soon as possible.
Like by SummerSlam, that man need to be on regular programming.
Yes, absolutely yes. All right. Do you have a favorite wrestler of New Japan?
New Japan, New Japan, New Japan. Let me think. I don't right now. Is Miyu Yamashita in New Japan or no?
Uh, Hold on, let me check
Two
because
people I'm thinking about. One is Miyu and one is Maki Ito. I don't know if they're in New Japan or not.
let's see. I can answer the Maki Ito for you, and um she's with Joshi Pro Wrestling.
Joshi. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna be safe then, and I'm gonna say Kenta.
Okay, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. I am one wrestler that I'm looking forward to is whenever she does come over to America is Julia.
That's gonna be crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like I think Julia's gonna end up in NXT. She's gonna end up. I think there's gonna be a revolution again once she comes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it sucks that while I think it's well deserved, it sucks that they're pulling up Tiffany Stratton so early because I feel like she could have did a lot more down there. Her versus Julia would go crazy.
It would. It would, man. But yeah, it happens. So, and I kind of figured that after the Royal Rumble, I was like, yeah, Tiffany about to be on the main roster. I
Yep,
can already tell. They were like, yo, get her now.
she
So,
got it.
yep. She very, very quick learner. All right, well, that is all that I've had for this interview. So, before we get going and do the rundown and sign off here, of course, I just want to again thank Vonny for coming through to the Chaotic Culture Podcast again. This time in an official capacity. As always, man, just as you gave me my flowers when you interviewed me, I want to be sure that you get yours. From the bottom of my heart, man, I just thank you for just being a presence in my life, especially during a time where I really needed a brother, and just knowing that you were always there whenever I had something going on, whether it was things that I was struggling with in work and life, and especially with family members passing, it's never easy. So just
Yeah,
for that alone, I appreciate you so much, but also for the work that you do, the work that you and Tam do with HUBTAKU. Y'all have created a space where community can thrive, and the fact that your focus is on community just shows the heart that you both have. And I just want y'all to know that it really takes strong hearts to be able to look at other people and say, I want them to be great. I want to be great, but I want to help them be great too. We all, there's plenty of money out here. There's plenty of uh, notoriety to go along. I want to be sure that everybody is passionate about what they love and what they do. And we want to be able to create a medium for that. So just for that, for what you guys do, thank you. Thank you, thank you. And I cannot thank you enough for all the work that y'all have done and continue to do. And I promise you, the work that you do will not go unnoticed. And I can assure you from my end, whenever Chaotic Culture gets to that next level, HUBTAKU is always going to be on my mind, just because I'm friends with each and every one of y'all, and
That's a
every
fact.
single one of y'all have had my back in one way or another. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the work that you do, and please continue to do the work for not only myself but also for the community at large that we are a part of.
Bro, thank you for those. Gee, I don't usually get flowers and shit like that. Thank you for that. I bro, you got my number, and if at any point you need to call me and had a conversation, whatever the case may be, I'm here for you. We're gonna make sure you good and great. I'm glad, bro, you looking better, you feeling better, you doing what you got to does. Bro, like we said earlier in the chat, like, bro, we want to make sure that our yesterday is proud of our tomorrow.
Yeah,
So let's
absolutely.
both step towards that direction. And when Chaotic Culture becomes a household name, HUBTAKU being a household name, we're gonna make sure we breaking bread, bro. Like, you
Absolutely.
dog, you my homie, bro. You my friend at this point, G. You know where to find me. Like,
Absolutely,
I
man.
know where to find you. We gonna keep talking this wrestling shit, bro. Like, it is what it is.
Oh yeah, for damn sure, for damn sure. Especially with WrestleMania coming up, yeah, we gonna be in consistent communication about this shit. But for damn sure, man. With everything in between, I will make sure that you know that we got each other's numbers, so we can always hit each other up at any point in time that we need to. But definitely, whenever you get the opportunity, give Tammy my love. Let her know that I appreciate all that she's done, and I can call. I almost dropped the government. I could call Bam, and let her know. Oh, because when I get real emotional, I start calling people by their actual
Start,
names,
yup.
and it's just like, oh, wait a minute, nope, not
Well,
on this
hold on.
platform. That'll be for another time. But yeah, I will call Bam and I'll let her know how much that I appreciate her, and that I'm always here for her 100%. And Tony and Pretty Man, they already know. And then
Yep.
Chris, I'm talking to her half the time on the timeline anyway, but I'm gonna
Yep.
make sure that she listens to this episode and be like, hey, listen, if I didn't give anybody flowers on this episode, I gave you your flowers 100%.
That's a
So
fact.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Do you have anybody else that you want to shout out before we do this rundown?
Bro, it's too many people that first and foremost, shout out Chaotic Culture, shout
Dang.
out Shogo High, shout out them good people, House Don't Lose, shout out Corner 5, shout out just pretty much everybody in the space, all the people that shout out the more importantly, I want to shout out the indie wrestlers that are trying to make a name for themselves and doing what they got to do. I've been putting out content lately to try to spotlight them a lot more on Instagram specifically, but that grind is hard and it's long, and I see that they putting in that work. So we gonna make sure that they get the shine in the clout that they deserve when they in too. Shout out to UCAD in general, obviously, for just giving me this platform to have this conversation, bro. It's real. It's so many people in this space, bro, that I could shout out. It's so much cool shit. So I just wanted to make sure that they got, the shine that they deserve. And honestly, shout out to Tammy too for just being in my life.
Hey man, that's all there is to it, man. And with that, we're going to go ahead and do the rundown. So, for those who are not familiar with the rundown, we name all of the Black podcast content creators, business owners, and artists that have either been a part of this podcast or have supported this podcast in one way or another. So, of course, we have to start out with the podcast. One thing for sure is I want to make sure that you all know with the we know that Anime After Dark is no more, but I definitely still wanted to make sure that Blanime podcast and Worst Gen podcast know, of course, that they still have my support in both the Patreon and, of course, just in general. Whatever you guys do, whatever you guys have planned for the future, just know that I'm going to be supporting you guys 100%. So if you
Yep.
have not listened to Blanime or Worst Gen, please be sure that you go ahead and do that and add that to your actual playlist as far as anime podcasts. I am a Patreon subscriber, so I also suggest that you become a Patreon subscriber as well. There's plenty of content that they throw out there that I think deserves attention. Also, a big shout out to Mike Check Waifu Waifu, who is also
Yep.
one of the other anime podcasts that I support and am a Patreon subscriber. I'm a Patreon producer for My Check Waifu Waifu. So to, of course, King Teliano and Polo Born Fly, once again, y'all have my utmost support. And hopefully I get a chance to have both of y'all on this podcast somewhere down the line too. And maybe one day I could actually be one of the esteemed guests on my check, because I think they've only had like maybe one or two. So if I get a chance to be a part of that podcast, that would be great, because I know that we'll have a great conversation about anime, especially seasonal anime. I'm trying to catch up because I fell behind, but
Man,
things
me
happen.
too.
Hey, listen, right now I'm like I had a little bit of anime burnout, so I started watching not the old school He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, but the Masters of the Universe series that's on Netflix, and I'm enjoying it
Yep.
so far. So that's like,
Yep.
dang, y'all throw me back to my, not my childhood, because technically it was my brother's childhood in the 80s, but I watched some He-Man when I was a kid. So yeah. All right. With that, I think I got those out the way. Again, shout out to the gang Show Go High and the other gang Inside the Mind of a Blurred. Please be
Yep.
sure that you subscribe to Inside the Mind of a Blurred's Patreon as well. Shout out to Truth and Transparency Podcast with Brother X, the culture scientist, and Mr. Smith. Shout out to Kay Renee. She hasn't dropped a new podcast yet, but she's still working on it. But please be sure that you subscribe to her novellas under the pen name Sedona Rose, which is all available on Amazon Kindle. A big shout out to It's So Real with Raquel and Onaji. Dad Needs to Talk with Rob, the father of Ash. Of course, Analytical, where shit gets critical. Big shout out to the Geek Set Podcast. Anime Junkies, Three
Yep.
Weebs in a podcast. Big shout out to those anime girls. And last but not least, to my frat brother, and of course his two podmates. Shout out to The Commute. If you haven't listened to Commute yet, please be sure that you do so. For our black content creators, of course, Black Anime, Aaron, HBCU Anime, Evan, yo to the noobs, to Sundari, aka Miss Erica. Of course, she still has our support. Cerberus Entertainment, of course, big shout out to Tatted Poodle, to the
Yep.
Geechee Gamer, to my boy Calvin with Icarus Metro Comics. Dang, I almost fucked that up. Of course, the gang HUBTAKU. We gotta
Gang,
definitely
gang,
have
gang, gang.
the. Yep, we already know. Shout out to Shelby with Simply Janine, Simply Baked, and The Roads Less Traveled. Strange Keith with Idols to Icons. Big shout out to Toasty Marshmallow. Definitely shout out to the Corner Five, more specifically Simone with By Simone Malcolm, and Courtney with None of My Friends Watch Anime. We're gonna have to have the other three come on this podcast as well, because I definitely need Sham on here. I definitely need Chris on here, and
They are
I feel like
hilarious.
who am I missing? Because I said the Corner Five and just like that. And Five. Why did I forget Five? She's with the noobs. Duh.
Yo, I called her Alan Fiverson in her last stream, and that's what I'm calling her going forward.
Hey, I like that nickname for her, bruh. 100%. All right, to our black artists, to our very own Miss Nasa. I hope that you are doing well and continue to be in that space where you know that you can create music again. She is currently taking a mental health break from the pod right now, but when she returns, hopefully she'll be back refreshed and renewed whenever she's ready to rejoin us. Of course, to my boy Scoozy, to my boy Jack Union, Phil.me, to my boy Ellis Quinn, who is currently right now with Drum and his squad, the Bakery Boys. So definitely shout out to them. To my boy RJ Stackhouse, to my boy Quarter, and of course Tyrene. Good God, I'm tripping over my words, bro. Leak gonna kill me. To my boy Tyrone Leak Jr., who of course made the intro songs to the Khaotic Kulture Podcast. Definitely appreciate you, gang. Of course, to Miss Ari Lachelle, to my boy Zach Hines and Fortresses, to Miss Elena, and of course to Miss Zaynab. We appreciate all the music that you guys have put out as well. So please continue to do so. And of course, I Hate Vonny. Y'all be sure that y'all check
Link.
out his music as well, man. And last but not least, for our black businesses, Already Paid by Dre, Fresh Nerds, Righteous Minds by Timo, KSS Brand by Christina, Cream Cosmetics by Naima, Mind Over Money by Miss Tremaine, Studio Maho with Pat and Yin, Concept Moon,
Gang.
She Designs 2 with my girl Erin, Black Magic / Lit Wands with Miss Lowen T, H4 Creative with my girl Zenobia, Real Estate Stone by Miss Meredith, Sold by Bell by Miss Mariah, Blurred Mind Studios, of course, with the gang Steve, good vibes only, again with Miss Nasa, and of course Scrappy Sentiment with my other co-host Miss Sappy. So with that, y'all, please be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Khaotic Kulture Podcast on your favorite DSP. Be sure that you subscribe to the Patreon for early access to the podcast, to the video podcast, and of course bonus episodes to the podcast. I think I'm going to drop this one on YouTube for everybody to see. This will be the first interview that we actually post. That's new. So please be sure that if you are a YouTube subscriber, that you tune in to us. We will be showing I will be showing my face. Of course, you get to see Vonny's VTuber face out here. So, shout out to that. But I think this is worth it because when we celebrate our Black creators, we want to be sure that we put a highlight on them. So this will again be on our YouTube within, if not this upcoming week, it'll be, of course, on YouTube within the next week. So,
Mama, I made it.
yeah, that's crazy. All right. Of course, you can subscribe to our Patreon at any of the 4 levels, whether it be for $3, $5, $7, or $10. It does not matter. Of course, once again, we appreciate you support. You can follow the Khaotic Kulture Podcast page on Facebook at Khaotic Kulture Podcast, and you can also follow us on IG at Khaotic Kulture Pod and on X/Twitter at Khaotic_Culture. I'm still working on trying to get rid of that underscore, so we'll see where that goes. You can follow me, Ked the Pro. That's K3D the Pro on all social media. You can follow Law on Instagram at L.JR_96 and on Twitter at Law96_. You can follow Miss Sappy on all social media at Scraps14. You can follow Johnny at JLeeTrey on all social media. And of course, you can follow Steve at ScubaSteve1428 on all social media. And this has been another edition of the Khaotic Kulture Podcast. So until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, chaos rules. Be blessed, be safe, God is love. We out.